We're talking drums, creating conversations with the world's top drummers in the most extreme genres. This episode is brought to you by Los Cabos Drumsticks, Canada's #1 choice for drumsticks. They provide the wood you need to make the beats you deserve. Los Cabos Drumsticks. Now with your host, Corey Hoffing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the We're Talking Drums podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hoffing. I know it's been a couple weeks since our last one, and we're going to try not to make that happen again. But you know what? This one's well worth the wait. I do think so. Before we get into everything, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone listening and sharing your favorite episodes with your friends and family. You know, you can share on social media. You can find us on Instagram at We're Talking Drums. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/We're Talking Drums. And you can find our community page as well on Facebook. Just search for that, We're Talking Drums community. We're always sharing all kinds of fun stuff on there and all kinds of memes. You guys love memes. All right. We're off to a great start here. So, thanks for all the support. You guys are fucking awesome. Now, if you want to support the podcast even further, you can head over to the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/We're Talking Drums. $2 a month. You can get these episodes days before everybody else. Days before they're up on YouTube, before they are on all the streaming services. You get to listen and enjoy these wonderful chats. Get the inside scoop from some of the top drummers in the game and musicians alike. That's right, we're going to not only have drummers, but we're going to talk to other musicians like our guest today and get their perspective on drumming. How's that? Get a fresh perspective on the topic a little bit, All right. This episode was also recorded live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Corey H. Drummer. You can head over there, give me a follow, and you'll get notified when we're doing these episodes live. I'm pretty sure everybody loves to see stuff live. You want to ask your favorite drummers some questions. Type it in the chat, and away we go. So head over there, twitch.tv/Corey H. Drummer. It's all free. It's all fantastic. Great community over there. Some phenomenal drummers over on Twitch. So please go check it out. Find these awesome drummers and support them. It's so great. So make sure you go and do that. Lastly, we got some merch. Always. It's summertime. Those cold summer nights. I don't want to talk about cold, but sometimes it gets chilly in the evening. You just want something to toss on? Well, we got fucking hoodies for you, bud. Sitting out by the fire. You don't want to get covered in mosquitoes and stuff like that. No, do you? Put on a nice little zip-up hoodie. Get that We're Talking Drums logo on there, and you're looking great around the fire. And you're not covered in mosquito bites, It's great. Now, opposite of that, during the day, you're out on the beach. You're chilling. It's great, hot, sunny day. But you need a towel, right? You want to lay on the beach, or you want to dry off from swimming in the water. Well, you want to look cool doing that, don't you? Well, we got you covered because we got beach towels, buddy. Big old snare wizard on it. You want everybody to know your snare sounds fantastic, not like all these other chumps, So that's why the snare wizard helps you out every time. Head over to our official merch page. You can get all that fun stuff and more, of course. Okay, that's enough. That's enough pushing our shit on y'all. You guys are awesome. You don't want to hear this. You probably skip past it anyways. Okay. So, getting to this week's guest, we have my good friend Hiran from Battle Cross. He is not the drummer of Battle Cross. He did let it slip though that he is playing drums in a project to be announced soon, hopefully. But he is a guitar player in Battle Cross. He's also a guitar player in Portal of Pazuzu, as well as Among These Ashes and Finality. Playing in tons of projects. I'm sure he has like 3 other ones that we talked about in this episode as well. This guy has played with some of my favorite drummers and some of the best drummers in the game, I would say, in heavy music. So we dive into that. We talk about what it's like playing with legendary drummers like Shannon Lucas and Kevin Talley. You know, it's oh wow. We get into how he first started playing drums. He started at a very young age, and guitar kind of took over, but he's always just had a passion for playing drums, and I think that is a big thing with all of us drummers out there. And then near the end, we kind of get into some more serious topics. We get into his struggle with addiction and his choice to quit drinking alcohol and live a sober lifestyle. So, trigger warning to all y'all out there. Things get a little heavy, and I think it's a good thing to talk about these topics because definitely, and especially in these more recent times, I think it is great to talk about mental health and addiction and everything that goes into that, and we can't be scared or afraid to discuss these types of things on a public forum. So it was really great getting to chat with my friend Hiran. Hopefully you guys get something out of this. If you do, please share it with your friends. The more people that hear these conversations, the more episodes and bigger and better episodes, wider conversations will be had. And I think that's a necessary thing in these days. So enough of all that. Here's my conversation. An episode 59 of the We're Talking Drums podcast with Hiran from Battlecross. Welcome to the We're Talking Drums podcast, Hiran. How are you doing today, bud? I feel like it has been forever since I have seen your lovely face. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm great, man. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had a nice chat. So this is great, man. To catch up and to see your lovely face as well. So look at that beard. It's so sexy.
we used to see each other at least a couple times a year.
Yeah.
At least a couple times, man. If we weren't like playing shows or touring together, at least you guys were coming through Toronto or we were in Detroit or whatever, right? And we would always see each other a couple times, and then I went to message you and I realized that we hadn't even talked in like 2 or 3 years. And I was like, this is unacceptable. This isn't right. And what better way to do it than to come on the podcast, man? Like this is honestly during the pandemic, I just found it to be an extremely productive way to catch up with all my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's great, man.
Yeah. And luckily, dude, you kind of picked up the drums over the last couple years, and you shred them, which we'll get into in a bit. Let's catch up. What are you up to right now? And then we're going to work backwards to the beginning of your musical career. How we're going to do the reverse order of things.
Reverse order.
So what are you up to right now? What's new in your life, man?
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, I guess musical wise, I've got like 5 bands actually, but so anyway, aside from Battlecross, which but I'll start with the newest band, which is Among These Ashes. And that is a project that was started by my friend Richard Clark. And he basically, wrote and recorded the project. And Joe, Joe.
Of course, Joe
he
Caddy,
basically,
the man.
Yeah, the man, the tech that saved me out here. So
they saved us like literally 20 minutes ago before we started this, and saved your ass multiple times on the road. So
yep, yeah. Never leave home without a Joe. That's all I gotta say. So
wow.
But no, so we were listening to some of the demos and stuff, and I think I threw it out there that hey, if he's ever looking to do a live band or something with this, I'd like to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe essentially like riled up the troops, man. He got me involved, and then he was going to play bass, and then we found our drummer Kyle, who plays locally in this scene as well with a bunch of other bands too. A band called Nethergate, he plays drums in, and then he plays bass in a band called Carnus Mortalis, and Pyrrhic. So anyway, yeah, I mean, basically got us together, and then the singer JP, JP.
Oh shit, JP is the vocalist for this? No
JP
wonder
is the
I
vocalist
recognize that voice. Who's also in Traveler as well.
Yep. He's in Traveler.
They're doing fantastic right now.
Yeah. He's on the road right now. So
yeah, they're killing it. I knew because I was listening to the album, and I was like, oh my god, this vocalist is incredible. I was like, there's no way this could be JP. There's no way. There's no way. I'm like, but then it is. Holy shit, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's awesome. We got the live band together, and we've been jamming and kind of just working on the tunes that are there, and just trying to get a live set going. So nothing's really.
So Among These Ashes is like the latest project.
That's the newest. On. Yeah, that's the newest one that I'm a part of. And then from there we got Finality, which, going back to Joe, that's basically Joe's project that he started out, and that has another familiar face on vocals, Tony. Tony.
That's right, Tony.
Yeah, Tony's doing vocals in this project.
Your other half of the shred section of Battlecross and he just does vocals.
Yep, just vocals.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's killing it, man. He sounds great. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, and they're working on the record right now. I mean, it's pretty much done. It's tracked, and then now it's like the mixing, and on Joe's doing it all. So, he's kind of in the throes of that. But it's coming out fucking awesome. And but yeah, so I'm excited for people to hear that. We did our first live show together last year, around Christmas time. But yeah, it's awesome, man. That band's great. And I'm actually a third guitarist in that one. So I kind of weaseled my way into that band because he has a lead player, and then Joe's playing guitar, and then actually a Battlecross alumni bassist, Mike Hugel, who used to be in the band before Don. He's playing bass, and then our buddy Dan Faze. Dan.
Dan? Who's Dan?
Dan Faze, Valda's ex-husband, Dan. You've met him a few times. I know when you guys have played out.
Did I really?
I'm sure you've met him.
Okay. I know. Of course I know Dan. Yeah, of course. I've met Dan.
But yeah, he's playing drums in the band. So
sick.
Yeah, it's fucking killer. John, by the way, is a great lead player. I mean, he's killing it. He's so sick. So, this is just it's like another. At the time, I joined that around the summer of last year. I was just showing up to the practices to hang out with them because the room at the old rehearsal room that I had, where I had my drum set at, I was splitting the room with them, and I was just kind of hanging out at the practices. And eventually, like Joe was like, "Dude, do you want to play?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So came in on board with that, and it's been a lot of fun, man. It's one of those things where you got to get together with some old buddies, and it's just, I don't know, man. Like, that's a lot of these projects and what I'm involved with musically is because it's just hanging out with good friends and having a good time playing music,
Yeah,
and there's
of
really
course.
no other motive beyond that. It's just like they're all doing great things, and it's just like I'm just happy to be a part of it. Um so then from there, the other project I'm in is a band called Portal of Pazuzu, and that's the death metal project I'm in, and that's a lot of fun. I joined that right around 2018. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was after I had stopped touring, with Battlecross, and it was kind of just, I have a full-time job and everything. And my buddy Don hit me up, who plays guitar in the band. And I've known him from other bands he's played in around the scene. And him and the drummer Adam were just jamming. It was just them two, and they were looking for somebody to come in as a second guitar player. And he sent me, I remember him sending me just videos of just him and the drummer jamming. Like Adam's jamming on this like E kit, and Don's on his guitar, and they're like in the living room. And he's just this video of them playing. And just from that alone, I was like, dude, this is fucking killer shit.
Mm-hmm.
So went and checked it out, and rest is history. I mean, now, we put out a record in 2020. And yeah, man, it's super fun jamming with those guys. And we're doing shows, and we've been working on some new stuff as well. So it's super fun. That's another project I'm like stoked to be a part of. And again, it's just fun to do kind of a different direction of what I always did, with Battlecross. So obviously, there's always elements from all these bands that were in Battlecross, but it's still different, guitar wise. So I feel like I'm improving on my craft that way. Just playing other people's stuff, and learning to kind of do different things as far as just something out of my realm that I'm used to writing. And, aside from playing Tony's stuff. So, Battlecross. So Battlecross was the band that I gave my life to. It's like, it was, that's how we met, was because of Battlecross. So,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. That is basically my baby. Tony and I started the band, and took it to a level that I'm just like, I still think back and at what we accomplished with that, and it's incredible, man. I'm super grateful for what we did with it, and it's not, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering like, oh, what's going on with it.
You don't need to give that away yet. We can get into that.
Okay,
later.
we can get into
All right,
all right.
we'll get into
Battlecross
that. All right, let's leave Battlecross. That'll be a whole different section. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about Portal of Pazuzu, because like, dude, when I checked that stuff out, immediately I was like, well, he said it was death metal, but like, what kind of death metal, whatever. And then as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh, it's like fucking death metal. Like this shit is heavy and like chaotic and all over the place, and it's like in a sick way, in the way death metal should be, right?
Thanks,
yeah, man, dude. It's like honestly, it feels like just like a blob coming at you, like like an evil monster blob coming at you the whole time, of just like,
awesome.
It's going to fucking rip you apart if you don't fucking run for your life. I got that kind of feeling when listening to it.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think you guys are doing it right.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of the influences kind of stem from, Morbid Angel and Suffocation and stuff like that, but it's got its groove to it, which I think is like the unique element to it. It's not just this fast sort of, straight blast and all that stuff. There's a lot of dynamic and groove to it, and it's very ugly in the sound, which I love. I think it's in a good way. It's got this like grittiness to it that I love. with everything that's coming out of it. So yeah, dude, it's I'm like I said, I fell in love with the riffs and like the music that was happening from the early days and where it's come now with all the songs that have been written and recorded. It's great, man. It's just fun to be a part of and challenging. Like it's the first band I'm playing 7-string in, and it's just, dude, it's the stretches and the riffs and stuff have definitely pushed me as a player to like learn that stuff and play it. So
Do you do any writing?
It's mostly Donnie, the other guitar player. It's kind of his, a lot, but I have contributed as far as like arranging and giving ideas and stuff like that. But a lot of the material is his that he's written.
Yeah, you still have your hand in the
I still
process.
have my hand a little bit in it, but it's definitely like his brainchild. So
yeah, absolutely sick, man. And all right, so getting back. All right, now I got to go back because you just ran through all of them. So now, among these ashes, though, getting back to that stuff, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can hear the Battlecross influence on what's happening on that record. And it really felt like if Battlecross was power metal-ish. That's the feel I got from it, because it has those thrashy riffs and like kind of mellow death, but like very melodic. Because like a lot of the stuff you did with Battlecross was very melodic thrash.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but then you have this epic vocalist over everything, and like I listened to it the other day, and I was like, why have I not heard this before? Why is this not like way bigger than what it is? Like I don't get, like it's incredible, man. That record is fucking sick, dude. I love it, man. I've been listening to it the last couple of days. It's sick, dude. Richard he fucking killed it, and he really came out of nowhere with just like, because this is his first like metal project that he's done, that he's put out, and he's actually got like an acoustic project that he's done and released some records out with that, but this was like his first like metal band that he sort of constructed and wrote the record and all that stuff. And so him putting it out, it was just, it really did just kind of, I think the way it just sort of rolled out, I think was really kind of, I think caught probably some people off a little bit, but in a good way, and he's definitely, you can tell he's well-rounded with his influences. It's not just power metal. There's, like you said, the melodic death metal stuff in there and thrash and a lot of like edge to it. So that's why, like I said, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'd love to be a part of it and do it live. So yeah, it's killer stuff. I'm glad you dig it, man. And JP was added a lot to that layer as well. I mean, hearing his vocals on that stuff, it's killer, man. So I'm excited to get it on the stage and just play it live and, see the audience reaction to that shit. So. Absolutely. Another band that could tour with either of my bands that I'm in, or like, well, at least Crimson or Lotharo.
Dude, we'd love that.
We could definitely tour together. That'd be super sick. And that album is Dominion Enthroned.
Yep.
That came out this year. That's a new. Wait, when did it come out? What month?
When did that come out?
This is your band's records, man. Come on.
I know, man. God, I'm so bad at this
February
shit.
7th, I think.
February 7th. I knew that.
I want to say that. I don't know. Metal Archives. Hopefully you're right. I don't know.
Came out this year.
It came out this year. It's phenomenal.
That's all you need to know.
Go listen to it.
Go check it out.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all guitar playing stuff, and we'll get into the Battlecross stuff later. Sure. Let's do what we're here to do. You're a guitar player. You are the first guitar, technically, I guess, first guitar player on the podcast whose primary instrument isn't drums. I did have my bassist in Crimson, who's also a guitar player in Unbowed, on for a Q&A session. So he was asking me questions from the audience, but it wasn't a full episode. So that doesn't count. Sorry, Alex, but that doesn't count. And he also does play drums in multiple other bands as well. But you were the first musician whose primary instrument, like you don't play drums in a band, correct?
Well, we'll get into that.
Ooh, is there something that you need to announce right now?
Yeah. Well, it's still in infant stages, but yeah, there's a little project that just sort of is starting to form.
Shit! Yeah. This is a We're Talking Drums exclusive right here.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. So all right, tell us more. All
right. Yeah.
What do you got going on?
Yeah, it's a project that actually we had our first practice over the weekend, last weekend. But that is with Joe on bass and our buddy Dave Peterman on guitar. He's from a band called Satiricis. But yeah, he reached out about wanting to do some like a thrash project, and he's like, dude, I got some riffs and stuff like that. And so it's still in the infant stages. It's still like, we haven't even, like I said, we had our first jam the other day.
Yeah.
But it's just thrash metal. It's just straight up, we just want to play thrash. And I'm like, dude, I just want to play in a band, and just have fun and jam. And we're not really sure where it'll go. I mean, we're just going to basically try and just write some tunes. And if we, record something, we do some shows, cool, So, but yeah, that's the band that's in the works right now.
Nice.
For me, my first band, drums. So, so there's been bands that was an old project I played in like years ago. We never recorded anything, but
it kind of came and went, and that was
it was just like a band. It was like a buddy of mine. It was like a 2-piece like grind band that I was like playing in. And I actually we've done some shows a long time ago, like 2001, 2003, like way back then.
And you played drums.
I played drums. Yeah.
So would that be like your first band that you were ever in?
No, because Battlecross was still that was still a thing, know, but like,
all right.
Even actually before Battlecross, like Tony and I were jamming in a band together. So guitar was always my primary instrument.
Okay.
But I started playing drums like, a few years after that.
See, I was trying to save you if you just said, oh yeah, no, like I started playing drums before anything. And that, and then like, oh my God, okay, perfect. Then this works. Welcome to the We're Talking Drums podcast. Now we can continue.
No, so it's never been my main instrument. It's always been something I was on and off with because like, I played for a little while. I was learning on my own, and I never took lessons, nothing of that sort. And I honestly feel like I never really got, like I feel like I was never really good even when I was playing back then, And I feel I don't consider myself an established drummer or anything. I feel like I'm a lot better than I was those years back, but still learning, obviously I'm sure most people say that you're always still kind of learning in whatever your instrument you're playing, but I feel like I have a long road in that sense, but yeah, man, like it was just pretty much like what got me into playing drums was just like going to live shows and seeing like death metal drummers and grindcore drummers and seeing how fast they were playing. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like, I want to do that. It was really like the speed and aggression of like watching drummers play that got me into that stuff. So like when my friend was selling this shitty drum kit for like $100, I bought it just so I could like do that, Yeah. And like I said, didn't know what I was doing. I'm sitting there just trying to do blast beats and stuff like that. And my buddy was playing guitar, and we just like would jam together. It was just him and I like just trying to write some shit. So, but yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was an on and off thing because there'd be times where I just started going, like, especially when Battlecross was busier and doing stuff, it was like, okay, well, I don't really have time to even do this.
Yeah,
so,
you got to work on your chops on guitar because
exactly
that's the focus. Yeah, I feel you on that for sure. And then as soon as you add a little bit of time, you're like, okay, back to blast beats.
Yeah,
right, I got to get these blasts back up to speed. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it was like I had one shitty kit and that then ended up like selling that one, or I think I might even still have it in my parents' house. But then I ended up buying another kit from somebody else and was playing on that for a little while, for a good while actually. And then I bought this recent kit a couple years ago. It was actually like a nice pearl drum kit that I picked up from Sweetwater. And but yeah, man, it's since I've had that kit and actually like, where when like, because when you play like on a shitty kit, it just like, it's kind of discouraging, right? I mean, you're playing and it just doesn't sound that good, but when you actually get something that's good and it sounds good and it kind of like pumps you up, right? You're like, okay. I mean, obviously the player is a part of it too, right? But when you get something that's like sounds good and it's fun to play, it just kind of like, I don't know, it motivates you.
Absolutely. So. like so many people are like, oh, it's not about gear, like don't worry about the gear, like it's all in the hands. And like, yes, okay, I do I do think that there's something to that, but at the same time, I know when I get a new piece of gear, whether it be like a new snare drum or a whole new kit, a new cymbal, any kind of gear in the studio, or like even as much as like a set of headphones, you get a little bit of that dopamine rush. It gets you pumped. It gets you motivated to want to use that and want to play more or like do more of whatever that piece of gear does. And that is beneficial across the board, regardless, and anything to get you motivated. Sometimes you just get in ruts where you're just like, I don't feel like I'm getting any better. I don't really like, what's the point in playing? Cause I'm just going to suck and hate my life and blah, 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 And then you get a new piece of gear and you're like, oh shit, like this is fun. Oh, right. I remember that like this playing music and being like playing an instrument is actually like, kind of fun sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's even the difference of like, a shitty guitar to a good guitar, when you get something that just like feels great and you're like, all right, man, like, and again, it doesn't have to be something like the most best expensive, like high end piece of gear. But if it's in that realm of like where you're at least like for playing wise, right? Like sometimes like when I was playing on those shitty kits, I wasn't good. I was just learning at that point. But as you start to pick up and your skill is picking up, then you graduate to something that's like at least at your level or something that just, is like a better piece of gear that is sort of fit to like where you're at as a player, and that could just, that goes for anything like amp wise, guitar wise, or whatever, like where you see yourself sort of improving in some realm and you're like, man, I just need, if I had the right gear or something that would at least motivate me to like play more and find like, and like with this drum set, it was like, it also gave me the ability to kind of set it up the right way, because I'm playing on like shitty gear that's just like, maybe I'm sure I had it set up in a way that wasn't even ergonomically correct, like probably putting more effort than I should have, than when something's shitty. You know, so
yeah. Oh, definitely. And like, yeah, because lower grade kits sometimes don't have the same amount of adjustments that the higher end kits have, right?
Sure.
So yeah, like sometimes you can get it to feel better when when you have like a nicer kit, man. But the funny thing I find about all of this is that you never gave up on drums. Like you had a career playing guitar and you could have easily just gone to bass or something silly and like that, like, and then nobody would like you and whatever. But unless you're really, really good like Don Slater, then you're just a legend and that's okay. Right. He is like one of the few acceptable bass players in life. All right. Everybody else that plays bass is just I'm just kidding. I love you, bass players. All right. It's just a joke. But you never gave up on drums. And it's been something I've been thinking about more and more recently too, is that drums are just inherently fun to play at any skill level. The only time they cannot be fun is when you're actually improving. Right. But when you're actually putting in the work to like try to get better at it, you know.
Yeah.
But just playing the instrument, you can be 4 years old, grab a set of sticks and start playing drums, and it's fun as hell, right?
Yeah.
You could be like in your teen years and just at a party and sit down, and like everybody wants to play the drum kit, everybody wants to hit stuff and make loud noises, like it's just fun. So it's funny that you like started, you had drums, you were playing, and then you had this whole career that took you kind of away from it because you didn't have the time. And then as soon as you had the time, you're like, no, I want to hit drums again. I want that. It's just like, it's almost like an animalistic tendency inside of you to just want to,
it's
right?
very primal.
It is. It's extremely primal. Yeah. That's why I love them, and I play drums. It definitely wasn't because we needed a drummer and I was the only one who wanted to spend my life savings on a drum kit and cymbals and all that, right? Fun times. Yeah. Why is drums so expensive? Can you answer me that
Dude,
question?
oh my God. I feel bad for all you drummers out there that do it, you know, and especially career wise, you know, like, fuck, man. Like, and especially in the profession where you make the least amount of money,
Right.
you know, being in a fucking band, it's like you don't make any money, and then your instrument, a metal band,
a metal band out of all bands, yeah,
and then your gear is like the most expensive and the most pain. God damn,
kitty tech. Well, all right,
damn kitty.
What's your kitty's name?
It's Loki. It's actually
Loki.
Joe's kitty. But yeah.
Joe's kitty. All right, the kitty that's in the show that made
Loki.
it onto the podcast. All right, Loki. There you go. You had your time. All right.
I'm sure he'll be making an appearance here and there.
Oh yeah. No, I've been seeing him lurking in the background and everything too. So.
But yeah, man, it's I just, you know, I feel for it's an expensive instrument. So like it
really is.
Like personally, it's for me, it will be, it's not something that I see myself going down that path of like being a drummer and you know, making a career out of it, or at least being something that's full time for me. I think that it's going to be this hobby that I enjoy doing. But I just, you know, I have so much hobbies that I'm involved in that it's just, I mean, you know, never say never. I don't see that happening, but all I really want to do with this is just play out of pure passion and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if projects come out of it, then that's cool. And we'll see where that goes. But there's, you know, I didn't really necessarily walk into this saying I want to be at this level or this level. It was just like, I like to play. And, you know, I don't necessarily practice probably like a young drummer would, you know, as far as like working on technique and things like that. I just get down there and I play. I mean, I have a practice pad and I'll sit there and sometimes work on just like, you know, setting them click and just doing, there's like a Derek Roddy exercise that a friend showed me that it's like, you know, you're just doing, working on your hands and feet, you know, coordination kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's about it, man. And then most of the time I'm just down in the basement, just like playing, you know, and sometimes it'll be set to a metronome and I'm just kind of playing along to that, or it'll just be playing. So that like getting to jam with this new thing going on is like, for me, a chance just to like play with, like actually try and write some drums and like play with a band, you know, because you know it's different. Like
it's
you playing it by yourself versus like when you have instruments in the room and you're trying to follow along to a riff and stuff. I feel like you play harder. I don't know. That's me. Like I feel like I put more like force into what I'm doing.
Well, also you're trying to compete with noise in the room as well. You got a blasting amp in there, like a half stack or something, and then like you want that snare and those kicks to be heard. Yep. So, you know, I assume that you're not miking them up or you're not running a full in-ear system or anything, right? Like it's just like raw, you know, and just so definitely you're gonna hit harder, and it's 100% different than just jamming to your own inner metronome, or if you're playing to a click even or something, playing with somebody. You guys have to lock in together, you know? So
Totally.
that kind of brings me to the next topic I wanted to discuss, since we're on the topic of drums. You have had the chance to play with some of the most incredible drummers. Battlecross had the most insane list of drummers, and even if they weren't well known at the time, they became well known after. I call it the
Totally.
Battlecross bump.
Dude, no doubt. Yeah.
So what is it like playing with so many different drummers, and do you have a favorite? No, I'm kidding. You can't. Obviously, that's Brian. Brian's your favorite.
Of course.
He's
Of course.
clearly. Brian Zink, shredding those skins. But Mike was Krieger. My apologies, Mike, if you're listening to this.
How dare you?
I love you greatly, and you know that. He was not the original, but he is the kind of first Battlecross drummer who did the first record and everything like that, right? It's and did all the beginning of touring and everything like that. And do you know what? Because I wrote down the list in front of me, and I totally forgot. I forgot one. The first time I saw you guys live, you had Yosin Orta playing with you.
Yeah, Hosan,
yep. Dude, and now he is in Fit for an Autopsy.
Right?
Look
it's
at
killing.
that. Dude, I totally forgot. And I
don't think a lot of people know that either.
No, they don't. Which is crazy. Because he just did a short run. Was it just the Canadian dates?
Yeah, he just did the Canadian dates. That was the first time. It was basically our first tour, somewhat, because we got added to that Goat Whore Hate Eternal one last minute. Dude, that was crazy. We got a call the night before saying, "Hey, can you jump on this tour?" It was when Fallujah unfortunately had that van accident, and so they needed someone to jump on, and so we got the call asking us if we wanted to jump on that tour, and we basically all were we'll do it. But it was, at the same time, we're kind of freaking out because we have jobs and shit. So basically, we're all telling our jobs, we're not coming in, we're going on tour.
Yeah.
And drove down the next day to Kansas City, Missouri, and met up with that tour. And so there were some Canada dates, and, we were worried kind of with Mike and some stuff going on with him being able to get over. So we had Hosan. We basically found Hosan. And he was actually a friend of Shannon's, and Shannon recommended him.
That's a whole other. We'll get into Shannon after, okay?
Yeah, but Hosan did the Canadian dates with us and Hate Eternal, and he killed it, man. I mean, jumping on board to learn that stuff quickly. He picked it up quick.
Like that. It was insane. Because I had heard about the band because you had recently signed with Metal Blade, and a friend of mine was kind of on the up and up of that, all new bands to new labels and showing me stuff, and I had heard that name, and then I saw you guys on the bill, and I was like, I remember hearing about these guys. I'm gonna go. Fuck it. I'm gonna go. And I listened to your record a bunch, and then I listened to it even more as soon as I heard you guys were coming. And then it was a totally different drummer. I was like, what the hell? And I ended up becoming buddies with him and keeping in contact all these years. And we used to talk a lot shortly after that run and stuff. And yeah, he will be coming on the podcast.
Awesome.
It's in the work. We've been trying to work on it for about 3 months now, but we're gonna make it happen.
He's a good dude, and I'm super happy to see him, out there doing good things with Fit for an Autopsy. So
absolutely crushing it. But that must have been a really stressful time. Oh fuck, who are we gonna get?
Yeah, man. That shit's crazy. Especially when you're just, it's your first run out there. It's you want to do it right, and it was definitely stressful. But that we learned real quick how to go on the fly with things. And I think we got really good with that between getting people to fill in versus vehicle breakdowns and making shows and making shit happen when you're on crunch time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
definitely a learning experience for us.
Yeah. And all right, so getting back to the list of drummers, you had Mike. He was phenomenal. Saw you guys on so many tours with him. Great guy. Played on the first record, Pursuit of Honor.
Yes, sir.
And then you had in the incredible Shannon Lucas. I I don't even know what to say after that because, dude,
yeah, man.
when I heard about that, I was like, oh shit, because like Shannon is like one of my all-time favorite drummers. Like the work he did with Black Dahlia Murder was just like nocturnal, like it's one of my favorite records of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then seeing my homies like working with guy like that, I was like, shit. And that album, War of Will, was just like insane, dude. That record was so fucking good, and the drums
bro.
on it were like so incredible, man. So what was it like working with Shannon Lucas?
Dude, I mean, talk about him as a player. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, just how tight and precise he was. I mean, what you heard on that record was very much Shannon's drums. But I mean, he's a great guy, and he was a huge part of, how we got hooked up with Metal Blade and how, we went down that path. So, I mean, I can't thank that guy enough for believing in the band and just, basically talking us up.
So I take it you guys were buddies with Shannon from the BDM days because you guys were Detroit locals.
Yeah, we actually practiced in the same rehearsal room as them at the time. So they were in the same. We used to hear him jam, and we got close with him because he befriended like Velda and Dan. So like obviously Velda was managing us at the time. And so that was how that connection was made, because he was around during that time. But I remember one day he was playing. I was at the rehearsal room, and I think I just went up there to pick something up, and I heard him jamming. And I actually had like it was like a demo of our album. Like, so this was we had recorded it. Like, this was the first record. We had recorded it. And this was pre-Gumby, actually. I think this was when was Marshall still on that recording? I think he was. Yes, he was. So this was our old singer, Marshall. I had like these two, it was like a demo of that stuff that was recorded. And I remember I was like, fuck it, I'm just, I had him on me, but I essentially went down the room to go chat with him because I heard him jamming. And I remember he hadn't even, like, he knew we had talked, but I don't think he'd ever heard us yet.
Yeah.
So I remember we were just jamming, and he was talking about a studio to do some grind project that he was doing. And I was like, well, hey man, check out this studio, and I gave him our CD, where we recorded that.
Smart. That's genius, buddy.
Slip that in.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I remember he reached out like a day later or whatever. And I was like, dude, this stuff rips, man. He's like, what's going on with you guys in Metal Blade? Because I think he knew that at least we were
you were in talks.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that all sort of came together. But yeah, man, like, so it was from those days of just, him following the band. And when we needed somebody for the record for War or Will, it was like he wanted to do it. And we're like, well, I think that's a no-brainer. Like, fuck yeah. Like, let's get this guy in. Let's get fucking Shannon in.
You had to pull him out of retirement, but you know what?
Like, come on, man. You can do this. No, he was stoked because he was hearing demos of what we were working on, Yeah. And so for him to come in and want to do the record, number one, was a huge like compliment. And it was just, when he came in, it was just, he's just so easy to work with in that sense. It was just like, boom, like had it down. And he was essentially doing drum parts And then it was like, all right, well, can you try a different fill here? And he would just fucking belt it out like that. It was incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great dude and a phenomenal drummer.
Oh yeah, dude. One of the best for sure. And I'll say that one of my fondest tour memories is the 4 dates that we did with you guys when Shannon was playing live with you. That is like one of those dates, and that was actually our first time playing in the States, and that was right before you guys were flying over to Europe for the first time. We had played in Europe, we'd never played in the States, so so our first time in the States, and I'm sharing the stage with Shannon Lucas, and like we're buddies. He's like the nicest guy in the world, and it's like 20-year-old me would be fucking shitting himself right now. But it's cool and it's awesome, and he was just such an amazing dude and an absolute pleasure to watch every night on that run. Those are some crazy
absolutely.
shows, dude. That Toronto show is still. I don't think I've played a show in Toronto that was like that since.
Dude, it was so much fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was crazy. All right, so
I miss playing Canada, by the way. I really do.
Yeah,
dude. Some of the best shows we've ever played were always in Canada. Like.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking
we love
awesome.
You guys up here, man.
We know it. We love you.
Oh, you're gonna have to come back up here. You know that.
I know. I just want to come and like visit and hang out. It's like touring so different. Obviously, like you don't get to see as much cool stuff and hang out as long as you want. So I think I'm gonna have to do that sometime.
Yeah, dude. Anytime you want to come up Toronto way, you let me know, bro. I got you. We'll go see the fucking CN Tower and shit. It'll be great.
I haven't seen that shit since I was a kid.
Oh goddamn. Yeah, you see it when you're driving in, and then you're like, oh, let's go down this shady street to the fucking venue where we're playing to 50 kids. It's gonna be great.
Right.
No. All right, so after that you had Adam Pearce. And
actually,
before
Adam was Kevin Talley.
Oh shit! Because you did Mayhem Fest with Kevin Talley.
Yep.
Oh my god! Which another legend.
Right, like
an absolute legend. Fucking goddamn, dude.
I know, it's so crazy looking back at all the different people we played with, and especially like Shannon and Kevin. It's just like those two guys were, especially Kevin. I was a huge Dying Fetus fan, so to be able to like. Play with the dude that I fucking looked up to in that sense was just like, oh my god, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
how am I playing with these fucking drummers of this caliber? It's insane.
I will say though, Kevin didn't play to a click.
He did not.
No. I didn't like that. I wanted a click track, But it's okay.
Hey,
he did great.
You know what?
It was phenomenal.
He's a fuck. Yeah. Everyone's got their different styles and what they do, and
it was sick. He was a lot of fun to watch. Watch play,
for sure.
Man. Yeah, he's
a wild man.
He is. Yeah,
he's a wild man.
The brief time I met him on that tour was like, he's a little crazy, but it's great, dude. Yeah, man. All right, let's get through this fucking list of drummers you've played with, and just share a little tidbit about them, because then you got Adam Pearce, who is amazing, dude. Like, and watching some I know there was some videos up of him playing like Beast, and a couple other songs, and it just looked so easy for him. And like, I've played those songs and absolutely struggled every second of it, but for him, it was just like butter,
Yeah.
He was so sick, dude.
Yeah, he was awesome. Obviously, we met him from touring with In Flames, and All Shall Perish was on that tour.
Yeah.
So we got to know Adam that way. Adam's a great guy, and we had a lot of fun going out on the road with him. It was funny though, because he like mentioned he has this like black cloud with him wherever he went with like touring with bands, and something wrong would always happen, and lo and behold, it did. Well, I think we had like 2 vehicle breakdowns on like when we toured with him, because we went out with him on Hatebreed and Death Angel, and man, that the end of Hatebreed going into Death Angel, like our trailer axle fucked up on that, and so we had to like deal with that bullshit, and then something with our van transmission. Like, dude, so Adam, you did bring the black cloud on that one.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, but it was I mean, honestly, he's such a great dude, and he was such an awesome drummer, and we had a lot of fun touring with him. Super easy to work with. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. Let's move through this. We got so much other shit to talk about and cover. Oh my goodness. Alex Bent. Do you really need to say more?
Right.
Alex Bent,
killer. And seeing where he is now it's so, I mean, where he went, filling in for Testament. Yeah. And then going into Trivium. I mean, I'm so happy for that dude. He's such a good guy, and man, yeah. He did Rise to Power with us, and fucking killer record. And yeah, he was awesome to work with and a great drummer. Like, yeah.
I know the runs we did together with him in the band were he was the nicest dude, super accommodating. Like, he was just awesome to hang out with and chill. Like, yeah. And then just getting to watch him was next level. Right. Yeah. It made sense as soon as I found out he heard that he was joining Trivium. I was like, that makes sense. Yeah. he deserves that 150%.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And he was he was on the podcast back in December. And it was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great getting to catch up with him and hearing where he's at in life and everything. Back from, what was that, like 2014, I want to say we toured together?
2014, 2015, like right around, it was there.
Around that time. And then seeing like where he's come, and now he has a daughter and all that. It's like,
wow, it's awesome. God.
Yeah.
Super happy for him. Yeah. Very proud of him too.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, and his performance on Rise to Power was so weird saying Rise to Power, because I still feel like you guys ripped us off on that one. You guys totally ripped that off, man.
That was not intentional. I will say that.
No, it was just it was in the back of your head. Like, that's a great name.
Yeah.
I've never heard it before. Definitely no, never. Like, we literally just released the record like 6 months before that. Damn. Oh my god. Anyways,
we should have put in parentheses Crimson Shadows.
Yeah, that's right. You should have just
called, that would have been appropriate.
Called the record Crimson Shadows.
Crimson Shadows. That's,
call it a day. All right.
So is your next record gonna be War Will?
Yeah, there you go, dude. We're working on a title right now. So thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
That actually works perfect with what the concept of the album. So I think that's a great idea.
There you go.
Yeah. Or we'll just call it Flesh and Bone. There you
Flesh and Bone,
yeah.
Force-Fed Lies. One of those.
Force-Fed Lies. That could be too political. We said that we're not getting into politics on this podcast, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Right. So all right, Brian Zink. What do you got to say about this fella? He's
fuck
he's
that
the
guy.
current fucking dick.
I fucking love Brian. He's, man, you know what? Brian, like, when he came in, I feel like odds were against him, because he came in at a rough time. Like, Alex was leaving, and Brian literally had probably like 2 weeks to learn the shit and then jump on a tour with us, going out with Guar. So, it was rough, and it was rough for us too, just going through that transition of like losing Alex to having somebody come in. And we knew Brian from the Hatebreed tour, because he was drum teching for Shadows Fall.
Right. Yeah.
And Brian, I remember he sent some videos, and he was playing it, but it was just also, I remember just thinking like, man, all right, like, it's good, but he's gonna need some work, and obviously he had that short amount of time. So, I mean, I'm sure we were all being a little hard on him, but you kind of have to when someone's stepping in. It's like, you got to kind of whip them into shape.
Yeah.
And
well, I know what that's like, getting denied, saying your videos aren't good enough. We won't get into that though. Still heartbroken.
Oh man.
But yeah, so So you took him out on the road.
Yep, came out and he fucking busted his ass, and fucking proved to us, like proved himself and like picked up on the material. Like it was a little rough at first, I mean, and obviously he's coming into a situation that's probably stressful for him, but he picked it up and fucking like within, I'd say the first few shows, it was after one of the shows. I remember, I think Don like talked to him and then basically was like, dude, you gotta fucking, like, basically whipped him into shape, like had a conversation with him because it was like a bad show. I think everything was kind of going wrong on that one. And it just, he missed some parts or whatever. And after that, man, he was practicing and he had it down and finished that tour. And he's been our drummer since, and that's why it's like having Brian come in like that, just where I feel like the odds were really against him on that. And even for me personally, like I wasn't so sure about him at first. And now it's like, no question, like he is the dude. He is the guy in this band. And not only as a drummer, but he fits in personally, like so well with all of us. Like he's one of us. And you know how that is. Like,
oh yeah, dude. That's 80% of it.
Like, dude, totally. Having a guy that just comes in, not only that can play the stuff, but actually fits in with who you are and as a group and feel like you're part, that you belong there, is like huge. And Brian is definitely that dude. Yeah. So,
well, it's got to be really difficult, like from his point of view too. It's like you're learning material that Shannon Lucas and Alex Bent wrote and played. And dude, that Rise to Power stuff is insane. I don't know what you guys were on when you were writing that record, but it was like, yeah, let's just play everything like 30 BPM faster than anything we've ever done. Like, dude, some of that stuff is so stupid fast. And like, obviously Alex can play it. So you're like, yeah, fuck, no problem. Do it.
Right.
Not thinking like, we might need another guy to play this one day. You know?
Right.
Like, dude, yeah, that's intimidating to say the least, just trying to learn that stuff. And like I said, like I've learned those songs, and they're difficult. They're tough, man.
For sure.
Yeah, they're rough.
And Brian's also a different drummer, man. He's not, Shannon and Alex, those guys are like, they are death metal drummers too. They come from that school.
Yeah.
So but Brian is not that drummer. He's a different, he kind of came from playing like rock and jazz and like prog and stuff like he's, a huge Rush fan, obviously. So he didn't come from that school of death metal and thrash metal, but he can play it. You know what I mean? And that just shows how well-rounded the guy is, because he came on board knowing like, I'm going to play this stuff. Like I'm going to learn it and I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
And he owned it, and like I said, coming from that background where I don't think that was his forte, he crushed it. So yeah, absolutely, I mean, like you said, he's learning from a school of great drummers, but he, brings his own element to it that is awesome. Yeah. And I think that's where that's why I think he also meshes so well with us and the music too, and putting his stamp on those drums. He definitely puts his flair onto it. So
for sure. Okay. So what is next for Battlecross? Now that we're at the end of the drummers, Brian's in the band. He's here to stay. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the longest standing drummer now? Because that would have been like 2015, 16, maybe.
Yeah. It's, well, it's because he
had 2 years off. Does that count?
He yeah. And I think it's, partly because he came in at like the last ending years of where we were, I guess, finishing our run of touring, but he came in he lasted 2 years, I'd say 2.5 really of the touring cycle. Cause he came in 2015 and went out all the way until 2017 was our last tour that we did. But yeah, I mean, that was our last tour for a while. And obviously we've been doing shows here and there, we'll get offers to do stuff and play them. But right now, everyone's busy with a lot of different stuff. The band it's not dead. It's just, I would say, somewhat of a hiatus, just because we're trying, like, we want to write another album. Like, we're all in agreement there.
Mhm.
It's just that process of making it happen is what is just slow right now.
Yeah.
With Brian being in New York, it makes it difficult to get together as a band and jam. And as far as trying to send him ideas, he did come out actually in 2020. He came out and we jammed and actually like worked, like record it, got the room set up to record and recorded some ideas, just fucking around, just jamming.
Yeah.
But they just, from that point after COVID happened, like nothing went anywhere from that point. The ideas didn't continue to grow from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like now it's kind of back to square one. Like, I feel like we're trying to start fresh with new ideas. It's just nobody's really been bringing anything to the table yet.
Yeah.
So I actually, Brian and I were talking, and we were trying to get him out, like soonish to start jamming again. It's just the schedules are just so messed up right now, trying to coordinate all that. Everyone's just busy, like between work and summertime stuff coming up and all that. So
and you playing in like 18 bands.
Yeah.
And all,
Right. But I mean, even with all the projects, like there'll always be room for that. That will never, like, I would never, if there was an opportunity to like have him come out and it just worked, like I would never be like, oh, I got, it's like, basically it's like there's always room for Battlecross, whenever it's ready for us to do stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's alive. It's just sleeping. It's like hibernating right now. So,
hibernating. Yeah.
And I just don't want to say anything further as far as to get anyone excited, because really nothing's happening at this point. Like, there's no new material yet, know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's just so in an infant stage of a new album happening, that I don't know what to say. I can't give you a time frame of when we're expecting something to be done, because there's, we got to get that process going first. Yeah. But I can tell you that we very much, I think we all feel like we want it to still happen and do it. It's just timing, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely. I feel you on that, man. And like it's difficult because like Crimson Shadows is in the ending stages of recording our new record, but we wrote this album back in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, like the album was pretty much finished in 2016, aside from some vocals and stuff that still have to get finished. That's a whole other thing. You know how it goes. But yeah, and then everybody's just kind of been waiting, but like as soon as the train stops running, and like you guys toured heavily. You guys were like a touring force to be reckoned with. You guys did some crazy shit and were nonstop for a number of years. It's fucking damn impressive, dude. But as soon as that kind of slows down and you have a little bit of time to be like, oh, well, like, what do I do with my time now that I'm not going on tour? And you kind of like find yourself enjoying other parts of life. And you're like, well, do I really want to give up all these other parts that I'm really enjoying to like go back on the road? Like it becomes like a balance issue then. And it's how much you're willing to really sacrifice, to get stuff done. I'm super glad and proud of what we've accomplished this year with doing the new record, given the fact that all our schedules are extremely busy, and it's not like we're making a single dime off the band at this point, right? Like,
right.
It's still very much so something we need to put money in, but it is really like you need to have passion and focus for it to make it happen. And in your case, just writing wise, sometimes you just need inspiration, you know? And who knows, like 2 months from now, it could just hit you and you just like bang out like an album like in a couple months, and it's like, fuck, all right, let's do this, or it could take time, but it's art. And at this point, it's not like it is financially your sole source of income. So it is like just something you do because you love it and because it's your passion, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to rush it just to get it out.
Right.
Like that seems silly. You want it to come from the heart and, do it the right way. So, yeah, but I'm super glad to hear that you guys are still like down to do a new record.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, it's like, for me, number one, I'm not going to force anything, so I'm not going to just put out a record for the sake of putting out a record. That's not us. But yeah, dude, at the end of that tour, I mean, we'd been on, I think I was just so burnt out by the end of it, man. I was just like, I was ready for that break. I was ready to just be done with the road and just fucking, and like you said, when you get off the road, it's like you start finding new things about yourself and like all of a sudden you have this time to like do stuff and almost like you're kind of rediscovering yourself a little bit, right? Because
100%, man.
The band was like 100% my focus. Everything else always took a back seat. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I had this time to like, oh man, I had a job. I luckily fell into a great job, and so it's like, oh, I have money now. I can like fucking spend money on myself, and it's not just for the band. What is this? Money thing, it was just like actually having time and money to like do stuff that beyond like what you. So it's like, oh well, what do I want to do? You're finding new hobbies and passions. You're all of a sudden starting to work on yourself, and like for me, like, dude, health wise, I was not in good shape by the end of that tour. It was like bad, So. Yeah. I knew I needed to lose weight. And so that was like that goal. And come to recently, I obviously had a long standing relationship with alcohol for a long time. And that came to a halt basically 3 months ago. It's like, I'm done.
Look at this professional. So, that was exactly where I wanted to go with this conversation was to discuss your sobriety. Congratulations on the 3 months, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Dude, that's huge. That's huge. And I know that the first couple months can be the hardest, but the most rewarding. Because like, all right, at first it's like, all right, one day. And then it's 1 week, and then it's 1 month, and you're just setting those like little wins for yourself, right? And then,
totally.
Then, buddy, that's so amazing that you did that. You've decided to get yourself sober and everything, because I know exactly what that struggle is like, man.
Yeah, dude, and I remember seeing your journey, and it was like, man, I remember feeling very proud for you, and congratulations on yours. How long has it been for you now?
At the top of June, it'll be 2 years.
Yeah, that's great, man. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, away. It was a long time coming. I feel like it was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted, and I just never really wanted it because I always fell back into it. But I think this time around, it was just like, I got to make a change, and it's funny for me. It was, most people like probably if you like people that know me, I think would never think that I had a problem with alcohol, right? Because I wasn't like the typical like blackout, falling down drunk that most people think that's a person that needs to quit out drinking alcohol, right? I think it was the habit that just continued where it was just entirely in my life. Like everything I did was involved with alcohol.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where I was just like, I was doing it all the time. And I was also like drinking alone, and I was fine with that. Like I was okay with it just being like, oh, I'll just go to the bar by myself. I don't care,
Oh, buddy. Some of the best nights I had were going to the bar by myself. I'm kidding. But they did.
But no, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, there was a lot of great times with it, but obviously I don't think it was the alcohol in itself. Like looking back now, it's like really it was just the good times, I think, with the people I was surrounded with, and initially there is always that fear of like, what the fuck am I gonna do being sober now? Like, am I gonna have fun? Am I gonna be able to enjoy myself? Am I gonna be able to be around people that are drinking?
Yeah.
And really, it's been honestly, that's actually been pretty easy, And I think for me, the hardest part was just the weird adjustment of like trying to find like what to do with myself now that I wasn't drinking, that it wasn't this thing that I did on weekends or, to go out and party or whatever. It was just like, what do I do with myself? What new things do I have to do now to like, find what I'm into, So I don't know, but it's been, for me, it's one of the best changes in my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd say definitely the same for me as well. Making that change. And a lot of people, when I told them that I was doing this, they're like, oh, like, are you just doing it for like a year or like, a couple months or something like that? And I'm like, no, like this is my life now. I don't know when this ends. I don't know if there is an end date to it. And looking now, I don't see a time of me going back to it, because even at this point, I know that if I can't just have one or two, like 1 equals 6 equals 12 equals me blackout drunk. Like that is just how that process goes. And a lot of people who know me would know, like, yeah, dude, I partied, man. I partied. And dude, speaking of partying and drinking and me and you, that time in Toronto, when I ran, I was so wasted. I wanted to give you a hug, but then I just kept going and we fell down and I couldn't walk right. I shattered my knee and it still bothers me to this day.
Oh my God.
Dude, I couldn't walk right for like fucking 6 months, dude. It was
Holy shit.
brutal. So stupid drunken times, But
yeah, man.
For me, for one, the wake up call was somebody extremely close to me just letting me know like that I was turning into not a very nice person, and they knew that wasn't who I was. Previous to that, I definitely had episodes where like I knew that I didn't want to be that person, even when I was in it. My ex would tell me, he's like, you would turn to me and be like, I don't like who I am right now, and I'm like wasted drunk, right? Like even I knew in that moment that I hated it, but I couldn't help it. And then the next weekend I'd go do the exact same thing. And it took me years and years of that cycle to realize that the only way to change is to cut that out completely.
Yeah.
Because either way, like I'm gonna fall back into it, man.
Yeah.
And that's it. And luckily I do have a lot of people around me to support me, and I'm sure you do as well. That's the biggest thing, man. And to everybody out there who has friends that want to get sober, support them in it, man. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's definitely one of the things you worry about too, like that pressure sometimes, but actually everyone has been super supportive of it. And it hasn't been like someone trying to, oh, come on, man, like just have one, like nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
And I think being open and honest about admitting that I had a problem with it has made that easier. I think people realize, oh, okay, like,
yeah,
I understand. Because there's been, like I said, times before where kind of like what you were saying, where you knew for a long time you didn't want to be that person, but you just kept doing it. And like for me, it was just knowing deep down I wanted to quit, but I couldn't. So I would take breaks and I would, I'm going to just quit I'm going to just take a break from it. And anytime I did that, I knew I was just lying to myself, because it was like I would last maybe a week, less than that sometimes, and I would go right back to it,
exactly.
Or someone would pressure me into just like, man, come on. Just like it was until I actually had to like admit to myself that I had a problem with it was when that was where the reality really hit me. And being open about it has, I think, helped at least people being accepting of that. And because you know how it is, it's a strange culture with with drinking, all over. I mean, it's just one of the most, everybody does it. And it's the one thing, weird addiction that you actually, like, when you say you're trying to quit, people are like, what? You're trying to quit drinking? Like,
But it's so
like,
much
you know what I mean?
fun,
It's
dude.
like, yeah, like, what's wrong with you?
it's
Like,
so
people think
sick.
something's wrong with you for wanting to quit that. And it's just so damaging, and obviously people do it and they have a control. I'm not trying to judge anybody for that does it. I'm just saying for me, it was not the right thing. And I think the overall way it's perceived makes that, I think, really hard for people to quit sometimes, because it's such a thing that everybody does. And it's, like I said, I think it's perceived in such a positive, like, in this light of like, what's wrong with you? Why you like being sober is almost like weird, right? Like for some people.
You're just boring then.
Right.
Boring person at the party. And it's funny because I've had people say that I am a lot more fun to be around when I'm not drinking. So I don't know.
Like, yeah, right?
Well, because, dude, and especially in later years, it got to the point where I would be so drunk, I'd be like passing out by like 11 o'clock. Because I would drink like 5 times faster than everybody else, and I'd be like shit wasted before anyone's on their second drink, So like that's when it's like it is much better to have me sober and like alert, and like I can deal with stuff. Guess what? I can drive to the store if we need to, like everything is just, I don't know. For me, it was, I really turned my life around when I decided to make that change, and I just needed, sadly enough, I feel like I needed somebody to pretty much like give me a smack and be like, get your shit together.
Right.
You're over 30. Come on. That's enough. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure, man. I mean, and that's the thing is, it's the truth that everybody, like, you have to want to quit. You have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I think it comes to people at a different time. But for me, it was just like, I was just at this point now where I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need it. And I realize it's just doing more damage than good,
Yeah.
And I don't think that I ever would have been able to do it, especially like on tour. That would have been so hard trying to quit back then. You know what I mean? Like, just, I wasn't ready for it then.
No, not at all, man. And that's like part of, like, I don't regret any of the drinking I did on tour. Like, yeah, maybe I could have been a little more responsible with things and done a better job if I wasn't. But like we did it and it was fun. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't regret that stuff. But moving forward is where I just want to, do it better. But I think that it is really great to talk about these things, because especially being a musician in the metal scene or like any kind of alternative scene and stuff like that, it is kind of frowned upon. Like, oh, what, you don't drink,
Right.
But I've been seeing a lot of more people over in the last like couple years, especially with, the last 2 years and, COVID and everything. I think a lot of people have started realizing like, okay, no, I have a problem when I'm left by myself or like locked in a house with too much time. What's the first thing I did? Drink myself to death. So it was like, okay, no, I have an issue and I need to turn this around. So I think it's great to talk about,
Yeah.
I think it needs to be brought to people's attention and accepted. And that way, because even for myself, at first, I almost felt embarrassed, like I done something wrong or something, or like that. I don't know. It's a weird feeling, but I was kind of embarrassed to say like I quit drinking because I had a problem. Like it was really a very, very difficult thing to not only admit to yourself, but admit to everybody around you.
For sure.
Like,
yeah, it's I mean, it's taboo, right? I mean, it's a little bit taboo, and that, I mean, I think anyone admitting that they have a problem, especially with that, it can be hard, especially the realization that something that is that seems so normal, right, to society.
mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't have a grasp on it, and then you're, is it the perception, right? Like, is someone going to think I'm a fucking problem alcoholic? That's, now am I looked at as somebody that has a problem and there's something wrong with me? And you know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that I think can come from someone that can be like, it's saying you're a recovering addict. I mean, I'm sure immediately someone's
Judging
a
you.
thought comes, a judgment comes to mind. I mean,
Right?
and it could be even just like not intentional, right? Like, it's just because of that perception of it, especially people that have a problem with it. So, yeah, but you're right though. And I think talking about it and that helped me a lot in my journey of like starting, I would go on YouTube and watch people talking about recovery. And I was even doing like online AA meetings and stuff and talking to friends that were doing sobriety. And that was really helpful, because it's like you hear about sobriety stories and you never hear one bad story of someone getting sober. You know what I mean?
No.
There's no story of like, I got sober and it was the worst thing ever in my life. You know what I mean? Like, you're always hearing these great stories of how it was a positive thing. That doesn't mean that there's some rough patches in it. Like, it's definitely a weird change in your life, that there are some things that make that it's difficult, and it is somewhat of a tough journey for some, and that's on definitely on different levels for each person, and everyone kind of has their own experience with it. But I think in the end, I think most people kind of walk into sobriety and come out of it like in a better position than before.
Yeah. Fuck, I couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Oh my goodness. Oh, all right. Well, let's end this on a higher note. Blast beats. What's your take?
I love blast beats. That's why I play drums.
That's it, man. All right. Hiran, man, thank you for joining me on the podcast, man. This has been so great. And listen, anytime you want to talk, hit me up. We'll do this. It's been a blast, man. And
Dude,
it's been a blast to beat,
I love it. I love what you did that.
Yeah.
Dude, no, seriously, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And dude, it's always it's good to catch up with you, man, and to talk to you. And I miss you. And we'll definitely, we should do this more, just, off camera. We can chat more, and hopefully I'll get to see you in person soon. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh, buddy, I hope so. Yeah. Come over to Toronto, or maybe I'll come out to Michigan. Ooh,
we can do
that
both.
Could be fun.
I definitely want to come out there sometime.
Yeah.
You should come out here.
Absolutely. See the sights of downtown Detroit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Downtown Detroit's killer. Come hang out.